030 Originals. Hi beautiful people, thanks for tuning in. I'm coming to you from Weil am Rhein at the Swiss border near Bern, sitting outside at the beautiful Collab-gallery at the Backjumps live issue Reality Check 2026. I say thanks to Adrian Nabi for inviting me to this beautiful event. My next guest is from Paris, one of the early birds in European style writing. I'm talking about Ski BBC Crew. Yeah, nice to meet you.
A pleasure.
I met you here in the corner. I was like, wow, man, this is Ski. All right, man. Let's talk, man. So, where are you coming from and where you grew up?
I grew up in the 19th district of Paris. And this is like a popular district with different cultures and different religion, you know. So it's like a popular neighborhood, working class neighborhood.
Mm-hmm. And your family?
My family comes from Poland. They migrated to France back in the 60s for working, you know. And they never went back. Actually, they were working my mother was working in a factory. My father was also working in some bureau, shitty things with a lower income. But they decided to stay. They got married in France and they stayed. I mean, I think they arrived like around 1962 or 63 or something like that. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You have a brother, younger brother, older brother, something? Yeah.
My brother is 5 years younger than I.
And he's doing art too?
No. My brother is highly educated. He's highly educated. He's the opposite of me. He's got diploma. He's an engineer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So he was the black sheep of the family more?
No, I am the black sheep.
Yeah.
He's the successful guy, the French dream.
Yeah.
I am the opposite, you know, the crooked part of the table.
Yeah.
My parents, they always thought that I was sensitive, more sensitive than my brother. My brother was really like Germans, kind of Cartesian and doing things very well. He went to study, he was doing things well. He was always following the line. And I was more sensitive, you know. I'm a Pisces, my zodiac sign. My brother is a Gemini. So it's like, I think Pisces are like, you know, swimming between water and deep water and going up. No, I was completely different. I was attracted by beauty, you know, music and stuff like that. But very early age, I was attracted by beauty, by film. You know, I was very into cinema. My father was watching a lot of movies, you know. And I was like, something is attracting me there, not necessarily art. I discovered that I was attracted to cartoon when I was, let's say, 9 years old. Mm-hmm. You know, I was doing cartoon in school most of the time and not listening to what was going on in the class. But I was attracted by cartoon, by reading cartoons and, you know. So for me, this was the closest thing to art, cartoons. This was the hook that took me to other places, you know. We are talking about the 70s now, right? Yeah. There was no cartoon in the television, right? No, but I was reading cartoon in books, you know, like cartoons. And then I was reading, of course, the Spider-Man, and I was completely into like science fiction, you know. But this was the time. 70s were about science fiction. They were about dreams, about going to the moon, you know. But this was the beginning of the 2000 dream, you know, that the 2000 will be a total change of the planet, that we were like driving we were drive with robots, and it was like the beginning of this, with the cartoon and with the science fiction and with the technology that was building up, the calculator, it was the beginning of like, we were focusing on the year 2000, which is not the case today. We don't focus on 3000. Yeah, that's true. So it's like it's like a floating moment, you know. We don't know where we're going, you know. Mm-hmm. So 70s, 80s was the projection, like we were projecting ourselves to the year 2000, you know, until we met Futura 2000. He was like the supreme superhero, you know, armed with spray paint. No, but his name was, I remember the first time I heard about his name. To me, it was like a name of a vacuum cleaner, you know. Okay. 2000. No, seriously. Okay. The first time I heard this name, I was like, such a great name, because he has this commercial and advertising you know, potential, like, yeah, buy a Futura 2000, you will not regret. But then after, you know, of course.
But where you hear about Futura 2000?
Futura was coming to Paris because there was this television show every Wednesday or I forgot. It was called HIP, hip hop, you know, and it was a show with battles with breakdancer and dancers, smurfers and stuff like that. And he was always in the show doing the background. You know, he was painting the background and stuff like that. So he was always invited to the show, and he was with his American accent. Yeah, bonjour, les frères et sœurs, you know, brothers and sisters, la la li, la la la, you know. So he was, yeah, this is how I got to.
He was like, yo man, this is the original.
No, but he was very stylish. He was dressed like what we were expecting to get dressed, like ski mask, you know, googles, you know, and this hats. He had the coat. He was like super cool, very fashionable compared to how we dressed at that time, because nothing was available, you know, like fat laces and stuff like that. We didn't use fat laces. We used like, you know, those things for your mother underwear. How you call this? So this was the first shit we used. There was only one color, white.
And you were showing out like total b-boy style, right?
No, because this is like, you know, rock steady or all this beat street kind of things, you know. So this was the whole, I mean, it was like, we were dressed like fucking working class people with blazers, you know, with like straight pants, you know, like we were looking like nothing, you know, except we had the sneakers. So we couldn't buy Superstar yet back in, let's say, I talk about like 1984, 83. And it was a transition because hip hop was still looking like disco, like Grandmaster Flash. They were dressed with those little boots, you know, those little, you know, they look a little bit like village people, you know.
Yeah, it was a little this leather stuff, chains and stuff.
Yeah, it was confusing because they look very gay. They look like disco era, you know. But then they were like very tough. They were from the Bronx, So it was like a transition. So the streetwear, basically sportwear, was starting to arrive, and this was was let's say stylized by the b-boys, by the breakdancer, were dressed with jumpsuit and stuff like that, you know. But yeah, it was confusing because we were like, you know, how should we dress? You know, it's like. We're not gonna dress like Grandmaster Flash, you know, with this fucking leather hats, kind of, you know. It was a funny time, you know. So we kind of dressed with the clothing that we had, which is only the sneakers were kind of looking like hip hop New York style, but the rest was like, you look like a fucking plumber or something like that, you know.
Last time I saw a show from Roger Zapp, and they had their funk show going on actually with the vocoder shit, and there was still some rappers coming on stage, you know, so that was the hype thing. I think it was 80, 81 or something. That was the thing, you know, they came up with, it was rap already, you know, so that was
Computer Love.
That show, that kind of show, and they had rappers already, and they looked like this spandex thing.
No, and, because you know, this is like the end of disco. Glitter and it was 1979, 80, 81. It was still disco. It was still, you know, this clothing that like Earth, Wind and Fire, you know, all this like super glittery, you know. And Grandmaster Flash and all those rap bands, they were like that. They were like this end of disco, but not yet, you know, very tight pants, and especially those boots. It's just like low kind of boots, you know, like pointy shoes, you know, kind of like just like disco, you know. So it was strange. It was like, they were looking tough, but they were looking also like amusing, you know, like kind of. They could be like village people, you know, village people like the Indian guy. I mean, this is what Bambara was about. When the Soul Sonic Force show, first time I saw the Soul Sonic Force, I was like, whoa, this is like the hip hop copy of the village people. I mean, they were not all gay. I mean, it was like a transition, you know. And this was the fun part, because hip-hop was not yet, you know, super rude and super political. Yes, it was some sort of political, like the message was political. It was socially describing the life of the ghetto, of the people who were poor, you know, the mess that was in New York at that time, because New York was completely, the Bronx was burning because people were trying to get the money from the assurance. New York was dangerous, there was drugs, there was this, there was that, you know.
Okay, I mean, then it came Run DMC, right? They had that dressed, the more b-boy dress, you know,
Yeah.
so there was something, so you would say...
But this was the beginning of like sponsoring. Adidas was sponsoring, you know. Nike was, for example, completely dead. I mean, the only Nike that I saw was on Gang Member in LA. They used to have the Cortez, the Nike Cortez, you know. But those were the gangs, you know. But yeah, Run DMC with the leather thing, you know, with the... But this was also like something weird, because leather pants, I mean, do you see like b-boys today wearing leather pants?
Not at all, no.
So you see, I think it was more fun, you know. The freedom of expressing yourself with clothing was more fun, you know, than today.
Yeah. It's crazy that you say in Paris they had that show already where Futura show up in this b-boy stuff, you know. That was very early, so the French, they picked it up.
I mean, you know, I'm sorry, I saw Futura before. It was in the video of The Clash. This is Radio Clash. Remember that video?
Yeah,
voilà.
Yes.
When he's there's Grandmaster Flash in it. This is Radio Clash. This is when The Clash moved to New York to record this album. And I remember there was this video, and it was like, whoa, you know, because it was like a snaps of
some
little thing, look like there was a Melly Mel, and then there's this guy break dancing, and then there's Futura painting, you know. This video was kind of like, 79? This is Radio Clash, I think it's 1979. The LP came out, like EP, let's say, came out in 1979, I think. Yeah, something like that. It was like a TV show late at night. It was called Les Enfants du Rock, I think. And it was all about pop music. And you know, and so this clip was played one night. I saw that video of The Clash, and the piece just came out. So I think it was 1979. Because before that I was into Michael Jackson, I was into Air, Wind and Fire, I was into funk, you know, Gap Band, you know, all this. So yeah, it was an easy transition, except rap was rap. The lyrics were completely different. It was not, oh, love me, I wanna rock with. No, it was not like love songs and stuff. It was more like, you know, the music was cool because the beat was completely different. You know, it was like, it was Sugar Hill Gang as well. But Sugar Hill was more like very soft, very, I think, more for white public. But I think, like I say, I'm not a musician, so I was like experienced this from far. I was just witnessing progressively a different genre that was arriving, which is hip hop. You know, rock and roll was fading away. Yeah, still, it was reincarnated into like new wave, like Depeche Mode. I was into Depeche Mode as well. You know, I mean, remember Depeche Mode in Berlin? I remember these images. You know?
Yeah, of course.
So this was new wave. I liked new wave as well, you know. I was open to every kind of song because, in fact, I was like, I needed each of this different category in a different moment of the day. Like, you know, I was listening to some jazz in the evening, or I was listening to some pop music in the morning, you know. And my first record actually was Blondie. Art of Glass. Yeah. I bought it just for the cover. Yeah. Because Blondie was on it. Yeah. I remember the cover was like, we went after the school and went to the supermarket, and we just grabbed the one of each. Was like my friend got one, I got the second, and a friend of mine got the third record. So it was like this 45 letter thing, and Blondie was on it with the lipstick, like super shiny lipstick and stuff. I don't know. It's like this was the French cover of Blondie, probably different in different countries.
So music bring you to doing graffiti?
Not really. Not really. Music was important to me because actually it was fun, because I remember when I bought my first Michael Jackson album, my parents went to my room and they found the cover on my desk, and they were like, "Oh, you listening to black music?" Because there was a black artist on it, you know. And so this is the fun things. It was like a cultural, you know, departure of what my parents were thinking I'm listening. They were thinking probably I'm listening to some classical music or shit like that. But no, I was very attracted by dance music, by pop music in general, you know, because it was like, you know, it was fun to listen. It was like something modern, something from that time, you know, not classical music or some sort of French pop stars or stuff like that. I was really not into that, because this was the music from my parents. And you know, as a teenager, you want to always, you know, destroy your parents. You want to be somebody else.
Oh, go against it, yes, I can understand.
Against the principles.
But at the end, it's important what your parents, a lot of people tell me always, oh, my parents listened to that music already, and this is why I checked out this kind of music then, and I became an artist, because so it's always part of it too, while your parents listen at home or what they do.
They were listening nothing.
There was not like
no, because they were in different mood. They were working. They were tired. They were just worried about to pay the bills, to pay for the clothing, for paying this. They were poor, you know. It's like the first apartment I was born, it was 9 meters square.
Okay.
My father didn't want to move to the suburb because, you know, you couldn't ask for a project and you had like 4 rooms with the chauffeur, with the heating system, with the everything, with the balcony and all that stuff. But this was like outside Paris, of the outskirts of Paris. And my father was like, no, we're not. We came from all the way from the fucking communist, and we're going to move to the outskirts in Paris and not be part of the real Paris. Yeah. My father was like, oh, I want to see the Eiffel Tower if I can, you know. I want to hear La Vie en Rose, you know. I don't want to be in the fucking outskirts of Paris with like other migrants, you know. Yeah. So this was the thing. So my father was like, I prefer to live like a rat, but in Paris.
Yeah.
That was a strong statement, you know. My mother was not happy because it was too small. When my brother arrived, we moved, we changed. We went to 30 meters square. But we were happy, you know, because it's love. Your parents love you. It's not about money, it's about love. You are fed with love. You don't care about eating well or eating in a restaurant or stuff like that. My parents never went out to the restaurant, you know. The first time I went to a restaurant, it was for my first communion.
It was like a special occasion.
Like Sicilian style, you know.
Yeah, but...
La prima comunione.
Bravo.
So it was like, whoa.
We have to go out, eat. Andiamo a mangiare, dai.
Yeah. And it was like a menu fix, you know, because it's cheaper. And I was there with my candle, you know. I burned my fucking finger. I was like, la prima comunione, the launch of the prima comunione. You did your prima comunione?
Yes, of course. I fucked my whole suit up with that because it came out at the end. Well, I had to hold the candle the whole time in front of them because it's like, the pictures, but
the whole candle shit was on my costume as well. Because you know, I was in a Polish church. In Poland, we do with suit, like Italian. We don't do like French. They make this with the soutane, you know, this robe. You know. No, we do with the suit, with the cravat.
Yeah, and they are black too, you know.
Yeah, the black shit, you know. That's like Italian, you know, Italian style. So man, I went to this restaurant. I was thinking I'm in heaven. I was like, is it like Guide Michelin or something? But no, it was like menu fix. You have fish, entrée, dessert, you know, pâté, primo scorso, secondo, e basta. For everyone is the same. You cannot order on the menu.
It's not so important, you know, because you still know that, you know. So
but this was the first time I went to a restaurant. You know, there was no McDonald's at that time, you know. But I was 10 years old. La prima comunione, 9 years old or 10 years old?
I don't know.
Oh my God, we're such a Christian, man. Fake-ass Christian. No, but this is cultural. You know, Polish, they are same. It's a cultural thing. It's a cultural bound. You know, like everybody did the prima comunione, even if you believe in shit. You know, but it's like a get together. It's nice. It's social. You know, it's a bound to all your cousin and all your uncles going to come. They're going to bring you gift because la prima comunione. I got a camera.
Oh,
this is what I started.
You was more lucky than me. I get a skateboard.
No, I got this Kodak camera. Remember that camera was like you can fold?
Ah, of course, yeah, man.
I went to New York with that camera to take trains, to take pictures of trains. Yeah, it was this roll, like already, you don't need to unroll or do anything, you just put this shit inside, knacks and that's voila. And this was my prima comunione gift. So this is how I started, you know, to make pictures left and right of my friend and stuff like that. And it was, most of the pictures were fucked up, you know. Because you moved and everything was like blurred or stuff like that.
Of course. You never know what you're taking.
Yeah. No, there was just little square inside. Like
of course, but you still don't know if you're moving wrong, right? And then you give it to the shop and then you can
and then you got a surprise, you have to pay for blur pictures, like abstract paintings.
Well, at least you was paying the pictures.
So I remember we were at the dinner at the table, and I received the gift and I opened it right away. And I started to shoot pictures of the menu, the food, my parents, my shit. And 50% of those pictures were bad. You know, it was fun.
Tell me then, when you started in Paris to do graffiti, actually, yeah?
Yeah.
Or did you went to New York because of that? Because you thought like, okay, I'm doing graffiti, I want to go there and check it out? Or why did you go to New York?
No, I started completely by like without knowing where we're going. We wanted to do cartoon, we wanted to make comics books, and we wanted to draw and to things like that. But we were not good enough. We wanted to go with Jay, because I met Jay in a school where we were, you know. And we wanted to go to the Beaux-Arts, but the Beaux-Arts, you needed to have the, how you call it in French, is baccalaureate, like diploma from the high school or whatever they call it. We didn't have that. We were kicked out at 13 or something like that. So we went to a school where you learn a job. I mean, not a job, but like a skill, like for example, plumber, working shit. You know, you're gonna work like a cow, you know, for the rest of your life because you're not good in school. So yeah, we started to draw and to things like that, and we discovered that in New York there was this graffiti through the TV documentation, through many different reportages, you know, like documentary about New York, about the financial problem in New York back in 70, 79 or something like that, 80. And this is where we saw this trend with graffiti. We saw the video from the Clash. So it was like the firecracker was already light up, you know, it was like shh, but we didn't know how to do it, how to arrange the game, you know. So we bought some cans, and it was like car cans, like, you know, for the car.
Yeah, for spray paint.
Yeah, it was no spray paint like today. It was like car paint, spray paint for Peugeot, for Renault, blue Renault, yellow Peugeot, you know, they were the brand written next to the color, you know. And we started to do tags, you know. So we were like searching for names. We finally got the names. We finally got some like nicknames and funny names.
What was your first name?
Lord Ski.
Yeah.
Lord,
okay. But Ski there already.
You know why Lord? Because at that time I was listening to Tipayri.
Tipayri, the fastest rapper in reggae music.
Tipayri, you know, Shinehead. They used to have those kind of like aristocratic name from the Queen or whatever, and especially this was like a joke, you know, like Lord.
Of course, it's dance music.
Echo. So you see, this was the name that I picked because the name was like very like ambitious, you know, and Jay, he picked up Uncle Tom, you know,
the guy
in the tell story to the children and stuff like that. So yeah, we were like having these funny names that sounds more like a music band,
True.
you know,
True.
more than a graffiti thing, you know.
Okay.
Yeah, so we started to practice our name and try to look like, you know, try to look something fancy, to something like a signature or stuff. I had problem because, we had problem because the name were not one name, it was two names together. So it was like, to write this was like very difficult because you want to read Uncle Tom and not Uncle Glom, you know, or Lordsky, and it was, the two names were glued together, so it was very weird, you know. But later, of course, I took off the Lord out because when we started to introduce ourselves to the rest of the community, graffiti community, it was kind of pretentious to call yourself Lordsky, you know. Oh, Lordsky. Oh. They didn't really knew the link of this reggae thing. They didn't know that there was a lot of professor something, Lord machin, master,
blah, blah.
voilà. You see, so voilà, this was like a. So we dropped, you know. Jay took Jay, and I took. I dropped the Lord, and I kept the ski, you know. And voilà, we started to make little pieces, like very anti-graffiti, like we were speaking. It was very toyish, you know, it was very bad. But it was like, okay, we're gonna try to do big pieces in specific places to show that we exist. Because if we have to go through the cartoon things, you need to go to interviews, you need to show your books, you need to show your skills, this whole process that was looking kind of like finding a job. And we wanted to be independent. We wanted to go like and explode in front of everybody, but without filter, you know, without people telling us what to do. And graffiti was a perfect excuse, you know. It was like, okay, you want to say something, you want to write something, you want to make a character, you go on the wall, do it illegally, and boom, here it is. We are here.
That's the spirit of it, doing your own thing and going on.
And it was not question of taking a photography or making this for the social media, or it was nothing. It was nothing. We didn't have cell phone. We didn't have nothing. We didn't knew each other's name, like real name. It was like we say, like spy or like resistance. And we never knew like who was who by the name, the phone number or whatever. We were like, okay, meet me here at 3 and I will be there at 3. At 3:15 you're not there, so bye. See, this was a different planet.
I remember too, when back in the day people asked me, hey, what are you doing? I told them nothing. Right now you say like, yeah, I'm doing art, I'm doing this, I'm doing that.
Today you got a lot of, today you want to look like business, but this is like the American way. Like you need to, like you're doing always something. If you do like this, the art of doing nothing. Oh yeah?
What?
Oh, you rich? I play lottery, you know, I try to win 1 million. But, you know, it's like, no, it was not so pretentious. It was very, we were very, let's say, pure at art, you know. It was like very honest. It was nothing about like getting up, getting this, it was some sort of getting up, but not in the front of a community, because the community didn't exist yet. The movement didn't exist. So we were doing pieces for the public. Not for the other writers or stuff like that. Like later it started to be like, oh, I'm gonna do this piece like this. This guy can see it. It was just for the public, for the passerby. You know,
so it was you and Jay, and there was other writers too. You saw tags and stuff, and
there was other writers. There was Bando. There was other guys that started to. I think they started before us, because it was like 1983, and they were already. People were doing, for example, stencil, like Black. You know, Black was doing already stencils since like 1970 something, you know. And there was like Zloty Kamień who was making those spray painted kind of like abstract figures and stuff. But he started like 1976 or something like that. But this was not New York graffiti. This was just graffiti. And before was 1968, you know, the May 1968, where you got slogans, you know, text, written against the political.
Political thing more. Yeah.
Yes, and this before was 1959 in Mexico. Also text. Graffiti was always around because this is like a proletarian way of expressing yourself directly, what you feel, what you want, and who you fuck. Like fuck you, and that's it. You put it on the wall. You see. So this is nothing new. It's like a resistance. It's like this is the public who speaks. It was also in the Middle Age. It was the same thing. There was graffiti on the wood with a dick of the king, Louis XVI, or Louis. It's nothing new. It's a popular way of expressing yourself. That's why art was always scared of that stuff, because it's very popular. It's like pasta con tomato, it's like, no, this is not caviar, But anyway, we didn't care about that. What was important is to express ourselves. Our frustration were condensed in this art, because our future was completely uncertain. Like I was saying before, my brother was going, he was small, but we were not going to the classical school of like, you're gonna get there, get the diploma, and you're gonna find a job. No, we were kicked outside, So we were meant to become like proletarian, working in plumbers or fixing shoes, or this like small jobs, like not very stylish,
84, you went to New York.
85,
yeah. What was bringing you to New York, actually? Why
I was visiting my family, because I had like a lot of family in New York. I got a lot of people in New York, in Pittsburgh, in various, because the Polish community was big in New York, because there's a lot of migrants who were coming like after the Great Depression in 1929, and there's a lot of people from the East who went to New York with the Italian, with the Sicilian as well, to work, to find a job.
Of course.
So they were working in coal mine, digging the coal, and the Polish were like, the Italian and Polish actually, and the Russian, they were like coal mine, Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, things like that. So the community was already there. You had Polish restaurant in New York. You had like the whole neighborhood. Like there was like Greenpoint. Then there was Lower East Side. There was a completely Polish. It was like Polish, Russian food and stuff like that. So it was like we were going to New York, but we knew that already there were a community of people. So you were like, okay, I can eat Polish food over there if I want, because I'm going there, which is what I did, So I was visiting, and so I went to the Bronx. My uncle and my aunt were living by the Bronx Zoo, and so I went there for the summer 1985. I got my visa. And I went there in the summer. I think I went there. I went to New York on July or something like that, or June or July. It was super hot. And I got there, and I was staying in the Bronx for 3 months, because with a visa you can only stay for 3 months. So 3 months in the Bronx. I never saw Manhattan. Yes, I went to see the World Trade Center. My cousin brought me there. We saw the East Village, and we went back home. So the whole summer I was just hanging out in the Bronx. I was going to the beach and the Bronx. So it was weird, because it was like all Puerto Rican, black and stuff like that, with ghetto blaster playing rap music and stuff. It was like a very funny summer. It was like, it's strange. You come to New York, but you never go to Manhattan. Because my family was like, oh no, you don't go to Manhattan, you don't take the train because it's too long. It takes like an hour to go to Manhattan, or an hour and a half or something like that. And it's dangerous. And at that time, it was dangerous. There used to be gangs, used to be like people who get mugged, with a gun. It was a lot of, New York was not in good shape, It was like, exactly the same. I mean, exactly the kind of environment very good for graffiti to express, maybe, I don't know, frustration, or trying to get up, to try to, let's say, create something that is positive, you know, even though it became negative after, because the competition of doing graffiti on the train became like in epidemics, you know, where like people were like trying to stop the graffiti because already the city was dirty. It was rat, was a drug dealer, was pimps on 42nd Street. You could get mugged easily. I mean, when we went back on 88 with Jay, we saw people getting mugged in a McDonald's between the two doors, the first door, the second. Ooh. They stopped like German tourists in between the doors. They German or some, I don't know. They were white, and they were like taking what is in their bag, you know. So it was, New York was already in a bad shape. Plus, on top, you got this graffiti shit, you know. Since the 70s, it was a mess. It was like a creative mess because New York was very creative at that time. You know, the music, the graffiti, the films shot in New York, you know, Taxi Driver, but this was like 70 and something. No, it was, you know, somehow New York was like, there is nothing more creative about New York than during that time. It was very creative. It was very loose and free to do, to express yourself, you know. Because people were kind of on the edge of giving up, like everything was falling apart, you know. And it was like post-Vietnam War as well, you know. People were depressed because this war took so many young people. And yeah, there was like a creative mess, like a, you know, like a bolognese, you know, of a lot of different stuff. And this was so intense. I remember when I arrived at the airport in JFK and I took the subway. Oh man, it was like, wow. Wow, it's like the heat of New York, the smell of New York, which is, I forgot the smell already. But I remember the first time I exit JFK and I took the subway, the A line, I think, or something like that, because the A line goes to Long Island and goes by the airport and goes all the way to Manhattan. And the smell was the first thing, I was shocked by the smell of the subway and the smell of the heat in the summer, the smell of the city, you know. It was amazing. It was like, wow.
The trains was dirty and stuff, right?
And
tags all over, blah, blah.
It was like I said, the first thing was the smell. New York had the smell that Paris didn't, you know. It was a different smell. And I was like, wow, finally, I'm in New York. Like, whoa. And everything was like, it's like an exaggeration of energy. Like the energy in Paris was, okay, it was Parisian, you know. But the energy in New York was so strong, you know. The body movement, the people speaking, you know. It was like an acting, you know, it was like bunch of Napolitan, you know, speaking. It was like this energy of speaking of the languages, the Puerto Rican, the Spanish, the Jew with the fucking hats and those. It was amazing. It was just like everything was like, whoa, you know, it's like Star Wars. You know, this cafe when they go to Star Wars, and there's this band, New York was like that. Was all kind of faces, you know, mustache, Latinos, South America. I mean, South America was, we never saw any South American in Paris. I mean, there is a Colombian or stuff, but not as much as in New York. New York was like Mexican, little Mayas, Incas from Peru, you know, like fucking, like I say, the bar in Star Wars.
Coming from all the galaxies.
You know, we're playing with some weird thing, and all the fucking crooks from all the galaxies are in the same place, like pop, 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 and sipping and dealing with some shit, you know, who's gonna drive the next spaceship to rob this other guy. You know? This was the atmosphere of New York back in the 80s. Oh, it's true, I got this.
That's nice. You met other writers? You
No.
just came? No?
No, I didn't know anybody. I was taking the subway like every weekend, and I was traveling like random to any places. I was trying to take some pictures or see train passing by. But 85 was like the end of the golden age already, you know. It was like on the edge of, you know.
But you still see the trains.
Oh yeah, I saw a lot of trains. I saw the scene. I saw a lot of good writers, but it was already the end. You could see that the new writers were different from the previous one. You know, I saw some Dundee pieces were like very buffed. I saw some mad scene pieces with the Mickey Mouse who was already with drops on it. It was fucked up. And yeah, it was crazy because it was like a movie. I was sitting on a bench I would spend the whole afternoon with this camera from La Prima Comunione, and I was taking pictures, sitting on the bench the whole day. So I went to different part of the Bronx where you got the good view of the train. You can see, you stand on the platform, you know, and you can see the train coming, and you can see the train like bending, and you can see like where the most important pieces in the middle of the train or in the back or so you could adjust and move on the platform according to where the piece was located on the train, you know. So I spent like afternoon, and I was coming back home, and my uncle was like, "Why did you go?" I said, "Oh, I went to visit New York," but I didn't. He didn't knew I was like going into graffiti, except one day I went to print the pictures and I left the pictures on the table. It was all the graffiti. What
pictures are you taking there?
Yeah, you into graffiti with trains, because he saw all these pictures together, and I was trying to put them together because I was shooting them in
like
different
collage,
parts,
right?
collage, you know. And you know, he was like, "Oh, you like graffiti? Oh, no, this, you know, it's illegal. You can go to jail with that and stuff." I said, "No, I like just this expression, you know. I like this thing. But this is a black thing, you know. It's a Latino black stuff, you know." It was, you know. But I was like dreaming. I was in a wonderland, you know, all seeing all this stuff. But it was not only the trend. Like I say, it was the energy of the people, you know. This chaos, you know, this creative chaos somehow. Creative, I don't know, but it was like a chaos. And to me it was creative because I was absorbing the chaos. I was sponging everything that I was seeing, you know, like the attitude of the people, the faces of the people sitting on the subway, you know. No, it was, it was just like, whoa, I'm here, you know, by myself. I don't know anybody, you know. I don't know any writer because it was like, you know, we were not in touch yet with the writer. That came later, like late 80s, you know.
So then you went back to Paris and you go on riding? But
I went back to Paris with sneakers and they stole my sneakers. Yeah, my luggage got open and they stole my sneakers.
At the airport already?
Oh yeah, they took my Reeboks.
Oh, okay.
I bought this black Reeboks for aerobics, you know, and they took my Reebok, they took a pair of Pumas.
Oh shit.
So it was a good surprise. You know, I arrived, I was like, oh, my suitcase was open. Cool.
You didn't get mocked in New York, but in Paris right away.
At the airport, exactly. So imagine New York at that time, you know. So, but they left me the pants and the sweatshirt and a jacket that I bought and a cap and a baseball bat. But the baseball bat was with me on the plane.
Oh, okay.
Imagine today you travel with a baseball bat on the plane.
Yeah, okay.
No, it was like a gift from my uncle because he was like, I'm going to buy you some baseball bat from a famous player. And it's like Vukovic or whatever. It's written on the baseball bat. I still have the baseball bat. We used to play baseball in Paris, you know, in the park. You know, people were like, what is he playing baseball, you know? I remember I just bought 2 baseballs, you know. So I had the glove, I had the baseball, and I have 2 balls. And by playing, we lost all the balls. And you couldn't buy them in Paris. Because, you know, at baseball, they are leather, you know.
Yeah, of course,
So we started to play with tennis balls, which was super quick, you know, when you shoot a tennis ball, like, woo! No, but we didn't care. We were trying to be like American Dream, or trying to show off that we were like Americanized, because this was the game also. More and more the graffiti culture started to evolve, and more you wanted to look like an American. We even tried to speak English, like, oh, yeah, what's up? Yeah. Like, try to pretend, but you know, with bad fucking English.
It's funny that it was like that in Paris, because I mean, in Berlin I could understand, because we had the Americans there, you know.
Yeah.
We had shops from them, PX, you could get those shoes, you could get those
PX
stuff, right?
and
PX and all, you could get all that. But in Paris I was thinking they're always very proud about their country and thing, and I was not expecting somebody
No, but
from
this
Paris telling me that.
this was specifically our generation was not proud of French music. La chanson française and all that shit, you know, this was not our style. This was completely, you know. And of course, it was well written. I mean, some of the singers, they were like Jacques Brel or stuff like that. This was like super well written. The lyrics, you know, it was like, you know, it's like, okay, you have to admit, this was good. Jacques Brel was good. It was a little bit sad, but it was very social. It was criticizing the society. It was like, it was not Grandmaster Flash, but it was
the beat was not pumping, you mean?
No, it was not funk music, because we used to go to clubs, but it was not really clubs. It was like roller skate places, you know, because we were too young to go to a club, you know. So we were going to these roller skating places. Without roller skating, you could enter inside, drink a Coca-Cola, and listen to funk music and all this. It was fun. But like I say, it's. Paris was like started to be Americanized. It already started when the disco era started. I mean, when the disco era was during the 70s, people started to dress disco and all that stuff. And before was rock and roll, rockabilly, and all that stuff. You know, French were really like into. I mean, our generation were really devoted like to completely look like Americans. You know, we were like just in disguise, you know, like trying to be like looking as close as possible as a b-boy or as a graffiti writers from Beat Street or something like that, with the coat and the stuff. We were completely like, we wanted to, we didn't want to accept this French culture. And not because we were from foreigner and from migration, from parents who were not French, but just because I think hip hop at that time was representing what was contemporary, what was new, you know, just like rock and roll back in the 50s, you know. So this was exactly the same process. We wanted to look like back in the 50s, Johnny Hallyday, rock and roll with the fucking banana and all that stuff, and Harley Davidson and this and that. So it's the same thing. We were trying to look as close as possible as New Yorkers, you know, which was later kind of fun, because the New Yorkers, when they arrived in Paris, they were like, oh man, you wearing Brooklyn hats and New York Yankees hats. Whoa, you look better than a New Yorker. Yeah, it's true, because we were like taking care of our clothes, we were cleaning our shoes, we wanted to have something like super original, not destroy, not, you know. So it was funny, it was like Carnaval de Venezia, you know.
But then after a time, you developed your style, right? Your thing, no?
No. Because after the 90s, the baggies, everybody was wearing baggies. Myself, I was wearing baggies. No. Once you get corrupted by this contemporary culture, which is, America was contemporary. It was the new land, it was the new country. Everything that came out from the States was something that was like 20 years in advance, you know. Everything was new. The cars were bigger, the music was better, you know. I mean, who was making funk music in Paris? You know, nothing. There was no Quincy Jones.
You had people like this Serge Gainsbourg and these people.
But this was like this was a copy. This was like very nicely copied from. I mean, Gainsbourg was very, very good at sponging things that people didn't know, and most of the singers in Paris, they were like, for example, sponging on Brazilian music. You know, they were making this like samba kind of songs and stuff, but singing in French.
Yeah.
But we didn't know that this music was copied from Brazil. We didn't know all the Brazilian singers and band and stuff like that. So you see, it's like the cultural revolution was to be an American, you know? It was better to wear an American flag on your sweatshirt than a French flag, because the French flag was fascist.
Even in France like that, yeah? Because in Germany it's like that totally. You don't wear our German colors and stuff.
Because we have this, the war who made that. Like everything that was like nationalist or something like that, you look fascist, you know? Yeah. So the French, they hated the flag. And we, the young, we couldn't stand the flag. I mean, imagine somebody making a fashion show with like Ralph Lauren with American flag, but French flag?
Yeah, okay.
No way.
Like, no
way. Until today, nobody is selling French flag. Nobody will buy this except soccer shirts, you know, football shirts.
Yes.
They say, the cock and the shit with the star. This is okay. But like French flag, bleu, the blue, the white and the red, no way, you know.
But I was talking about style now. I mean, like in graffiti style, you had your style actually.
No, but I made it later. At the beginning, we were.
But in the 80s, you was in Berlin. You made that. I saw that wall actually.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I saw that wall where you made like a spaceship kind of.
Yeah. No, but the spaceship was later. This was like 1889.
Yeah, this is what I mean.
But in the beginning, we kind of like everybody else, I think, in Europe, we were looking at subway art.
Yeah.
Because subway art came out in 1985 or 86, I forgot when, 7 or something like that. When subway art came out, it was finally something that we could copy, inspired, and try to find letters, not exactly the same, but maybe the same colors or the same background, you know. Well, I mean, like I said, we didn't invented graffiti. You know,
but still, for me, when I started writing, I liked characters, for example, and I like, of course, your characters. You was doing Jay's characters, and there was much more. I would say, like they had different shapes than the New York b-boys. You know, the New York b-boys, they was sometimes very round, look a little bit more comic style.
Well, but you got your personal touch, of course. You know, you got something. When you sponge something, when you copy something, like Picasso was saying, you know, a good artist is a guy who can copy very well and turn into your own thing, you know. But we did exactly that. You know, we took certain things, but we couldn't not copy exactly the same, because knowing that every writer was now with a spreche art in the bookshelf. They were like, you took this. I already had some problem with that, because I remember I took like a pink and orange background that was from a writer in a subway.
Oh, just the color alone already.
And that's it. Just the color was like, oh, you took it from this, you took it from that. So it became like hide and seek, you know, kind of game.
Of course,
Like if you find something more than spreche art, like a different magazine or something like that you can, you know, sponge and being inspired, that other people don't know, you will be the king. You know,
that's the same with the music. What you told me before is the same thing.
Ignorance is good sometimes for the creativity, because people are ignorant. They don't know, but you know the sources. You know where it's coming from. You know. And of course, but this is at the beginning, you know, you need to start with something.
Of course,
you know, like I said, it's not our culture. It came from New York. It was created by the New Yorkers. How did they get to the point of making letters? I don't know. Maybe by eating cornflakes and looking at the boxes of cornflakes, you know, Kellogg's, and with the bee of the bear, you know, maybe unconsciously since the 50s, they've been eating those boxes with Rice Krispies and the tiger and all that stuff. And to me, it was always clear, like later I was thinking, like, of course, there's a characters and a big fucking letter. And everything in New York was like that. the hot dogs was the hot dogs character, and then big letter, you know, whatever name it was, Herman's or something like that. Since the 60s, the 50s, the American cultures was promoting two visual things: the name, the brand, and the little character that you're gonna remember more than the name.
Yeah, than the name, yeah.
And the character will give you a certain mood about the product, a certain, you know, but this is graphic, you know, it's graphic.
Yeah, of course.
And later I was thinking, but much later, I was thinking, maybe this is unconsciously, this shit came out from the boxes.
Yeah.
But I don't know, you have to ask the old school writer how this, I don't know, phase 2 or whatever, the first guy who started to paint, I don't know. Some of the people were inspired by record cover, like the psychedelic records cover, you know, Pink Floyd and stuff like that. A lot of guys told me that they were inspired by those cover. You know, the fluid letters. What's the name of the guy who was making Pink Floyd records? I mean, the covers. Ooh. His name is very famous. I forgot his name. And also Ken, you know, this band Ken.
Yeah.
Also like super covers, and like this was the 70s psychedelic movement, you know, and they had those kind of letters who could be graffiti, you know, but then you got the cornflakes and I don't know. I don't know. It's not me to answer that question.
I mean, we was talking about it before, these records like coming out from the 60s, late 60s, where all this spacey shit came up, you know, where there was all spacey and took LSD and had this and then it just brew this kind of covers, you know, which are a little, you know, and then it became like 80s, you know, so you had a little bit more graphics and this.
For example, you remember this band Love?
Yeah.
You remember the cover?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
There was the faces of each of those guys, and they all stick together.
Yeah.
This was my b-boy inspiration.
Ah, yeah.
Those heads.
Yeah.
And this is like 70s cover.
Yeah.
You know? And those heads were all together. There was like a psychedelic thing, like one human being with 4 heads. You see? Yeah. So music, record, I think they play a big unconscious part in graffiti, you know?
Now, music is always attached to that, kind of to transport that, because first of all, you understand the music before you understand the language, you know, then you see how they move, how they, of course, you know. So
I mean, you know, I used to buy records, and the first thing I was looking is like the expression, the impression, the art of the cover that was leading me to the music. Yeah. And I was like bouncing between the visual of the cover, which was like, remember, it was like 45 by 45, I forgot the size of the record cover. And you see Michael Jackson, and you open the record cover, and it's like a spread of the Michael Jackson, you know, like completely full body, you know, and you got this images, color, the colors and those the stuff. So you see that this was art on the cover that was pushing the music. So imagine today, you download the music, you got no cover, nothing. It's just music, and you throw it away after
you got videos, you know.
But remember back in the 90s, the rave scene and the techno music, they used to sell records with nothing.
White label,
you know, like Aphex Twin.
Of
I
course.
remember I bought a records, the only thing that you knew it was Aphex Twin was the number that was scratched on the record.
On the records,
No
it was
information.
White label and things,
it was bullshit. You know, it was just here, you buy it, only the people who know they have the records, you know. So you were digging in the crate and you were like, oh, this is probably Aphex Twin, a white record. Oh, you look, you got the number, you know, and you knew this thing because it was like, people were telling you. It was by hearing other people in the record store saying, oh, this is Aphex Twin, you should buy it. How do you know? Okay, play it. And then you hear it and you recognize the sound. Okay, up. I still have the records, you know. But the rave scene was anti-commercial, everything that was back in the 80s with the flashy colors, the afros, the beautiful women, you know, I mean, they used to put like beautiful women on the cover sometimes just for a guy or for a band or stuff like that, just to sell.
Of course.
It was like the first thing that was attracting people to buy the music, you know. It was a marketing thing.
And like you said before, when you talk about Grandmaster Flash, to say like, okay, let's sell it like this, you know, this rap thing is a new thing, but let they have to dress like this still, so they fit to the post-disco era, kind of, you know, and then go over to the other day.
Post-disco funk, it was like funk. They were dressed like people from funk music, like you said, Zap, you know, all this.
Rick James and his people.
Voilà. So it was weird because, you know, like people rapping from the Bronx, and this was very curious, you know, like, fuck, man, the guys, they don't look like rappers. I mean, what raps should... I mean, at the beginning I was like, this is rap music, okay, but how rappers should dress? It was no alternative, you know, into later after, you know, you got Tribe Called Quest.
I'm pretty sure there was already, but the market for it was
Sugar Hill, they were dressed like gangster.
Yeah.
And the gangster shit was coming from funk music because you used to dress with like...
pimpy and pimp stuff.
Yeah, pimp stuff. So this was also funk music, you know. I remember the guy from Sugar Hill used to have this, you know, hat like a gangster,
you know. Of course, man, the beret.
But this was like a cartoonish rap, you know. It was like something that you see on a Muppet show or something like that. Remember the guest on the Muppet shows?
Of course. I think it needed its time to develop to that you could like promote the real thing.
But today we're coming back to that. The trap shit, you know, like I saw Prague and all that. They started to dress like this, very feminine, very fashiony, very sweet, but rapping like super hardcore.
Yeah, that's true.
Came back with the fashion, with the thing. Because we got sick of Wu-Tang and Public Enemy, like this military kind of shit, or working class like Wu-Tang. I mean, already Puff Daddy and Notorious B.I.G., they were wearing Versace, they had a Rolex and all that stuff. I mean, not only them, before it was other rappers, you know. But the image today is going back to this non-super masculine, tough guys or something like that. Now they dress like fucking big fat shoes from Balenciaga or from Gucci, and they dress with like completely, they could be like anything except rappers.
Yeah, but this is still pop music. I mean, you have some famous rappers from Paris too, you know, they're doing trap and they're from the suburbs, man, they're from outside the ghetto, you know. They dress only in sweatsuits, they don't give a fuck, and they're big, you know, people copy them too in Germany a lot, you know.
Now the French rap, they brought this Paris Saint-Germain,
right, you all this kind of stuff,
training suit and all that stuff that comes from football actually, you know. And they got this little Louis Vuitton bags, like kind of like,
course,
you know.
and they had and everything.
But this is like, you know, this is rap music. This is music actually. The writers today, I mean, I'm looking today at the graffiti scene and all the people from the street. I don't know. They don't have style. They look like practical, you know. They don't really dress like, even for opening, they dress like fucking working class guy. He could be a truck driver or something like that.
Well, sometimes it's like a
I don't know, maybe in Paris.
Painting, man, you know. And
they come with splashes, like John, you know.
Right.
They come with splashes and stuff like, I'm doing stuff, you know. I'm like, I'm Jackson Pollock or something. Like I'm working, I'm doing things. If you're too clean and you come and I mean, there's a lot of clean guys who are doing wars and stuff like that, but it's a different generation.
I think sometimes I see riders still, you know, and I can see, okay, this is a rider because he's not wearing exaggerated stuff, you know. He don't have too posh things and stuff. It's always a little hidden little features you see where you say like, okay, this is a rider, you know, kind of.
Except Futura. You see, Futura was always stylish. He was always like extravagant because I guess he was not from the same scene as the real, I mean, like not the real rider, but like the hardcore rider from the Bronx, where like working class Puerto Rican or Latino or black or stuff like that. He was from the East Village. He was like Keith Haring, Basquiat. They were more arty. They were hanging out with people who were making movies. They were hanging, like Ramel Z, for example. You see, they're completely different riders. And plus, they never really painted a lot of train. They're not like super train guys, you know. Because the guy who painted train, they look like the train, you know. They got absorbed by the the aesthetical, practical thing. You know, they don't dress too much because, you know, if you go out of your house in the Bronx and you dress with pink pants,
of course.
doesn't work. You know, so they dress like practical. They dress like the guy from working in construction or stuff like that, like Hart. You know, this is it. You know, it's like this kind of aesthetical representation of
it's actually
the
funny
artist.
that the gallery is from
But
Carhatt.
you know, they use us to create an image.
Of course.
Because they use the skateboard, they use the graffiti, they use anything they can to seduce younger people, you know, to buy the clothing. So if you know, it's marketing. And this is what funny is, because graffiti was very rebellious. At the moment he entered the business, it was all like prostitute. They went all to give their asses to brand and to this and to that, because there was money there was easy money, because it's easier than to work 8 hours a day, you know. So you sell a canvas, you sell a tag or stuff like that, and then at the moment this started, the game was completely different. The getting over was not getting over on train or cover the city with tropes. The game was like to be visible on TV, on videos, on making logos for rap bands or stuff like that, you know. Everything changed so quickly, you know, it was like whoop, you know. So then you got the original were stuck in the same thing, on the same train, and they were not trendy. And those, like I say, like some of the East Village artists were graffiti but not doing really trend, they got trendy. They started to make commercial advertising, drinking Coca-Cola, it's good, Pepsi, whatever. Everything, it was the graffiti movement got divided by those who were saying they are the original and those who were like marketing themselves, you know, because they were thinking, okay, the trend is over, now we have to apply our tag, our name on some brand to go higher, you know, which is, I understand. We all did that, you know.
I mean, I remember when Jay and them came to Adrian.
For MTV.
Here, KDW, they had canvas hanging
KDW,
there and all that stuff. You know, this is a posh place actually, you know, to put this kind of thing. So they was
I
coming
did this
for that.
too.
Yeah,
I
you did this too actually.
Yeah, I did this on the Kudam. You know, Adrian
I remember,
and this fashion show. Jay was spending live at H&M. At that time it was Hansen Morris, you remember?
Yeah,
on the
man,
Kudam?
Yes, of course.
By Kipinski.
Hansen Morris.
Yeah, it was by Kipinski.
yeah, of course. It was a posh place. It was a Kudam.
No, but it was exciting, you know, because it was not even the money. It was like, okay, we are getting into something where people are taking us seriously. I mean, this is what we thought. But we were kind of like monkey in a circus, you know, clapping and making and riding on the bike.
They're like, wow, look at the guys.
But we were young, you know, we were dreaming, we were naive, you know, we were like, okay, man, I mean, can you believe? I'm living in a shitty house, my parents don't even speak French correctly, and I'm in a fucking store showing my work, my shitty work that I do in my fucking little house. So it was like, it was amazing. It was like, wow, maybe we have a career or something, or we're gonna, you know. But of course, you know, at the moment you start this, you got millions of writers who are coming in same business and ruining the whole thing. Like, you know, they are better looking, they speak better than you, or they're richer than you, like, you know, the CTK or you know, Bando, and they have easy access to certain places that you need to speak correctly French, because we were speaking slang, you know. At the moment you open your mouth, this guy's from like, the east of Paris or banlieue, you know. C'est super naive. Let's pay them like with some fucking clothing, socks, and good food in a restaurant. Let's pay them like this, you know. Oh, let's pay the tickets to come to Berlin.
It's okay already.
Oh, let's pay them the fucking first class train like we arrived yesterday, you know. You know, this whole thing is like,
of course,
it's easy for like corporate to have so much money to fuck you over. You know, it's a thing that if you don't do it, you feel guilty because someone else will do it. If you don't do that walls, they're gonna pay a guy half the price and he's gonna do the wall because, oh, you're too expensive. You think you're famous? Okay, stay in your house. oh, hello, and they're gonna say to the guy, you're gonna have a kebab for free, you're gonna have a hotel for free, and the train for free.
But okay, I mean, when you start something and you go into something, you get fucked always.
We ate a lot of merguez frites, you know. In Paris, we're like, oh, you got the tickets for free merguez. Oh, you got a ticket for free Carhatt clothes. You see, this shit is still like, it's like the donkey and the carrot, you know?
And we still have this thing now.
But I'm telling you. But, you know, the truth is that we don't know. They have a different perspective. They are seeing us like the donkeys and the carrot, believe me. If you accept to be the donkeys, maybe you're gonna have good time like we have right now with this interview, you know, we are joking and blah blah blah. But then if you realize that there is a carrot and there's a donkey, and you don't want to be this pet, you want to be a tiger, you want to be respected. But you can still cage a tiger too, you know. You put him in a cage. You can put some big piece of meat in a cage and the tiger goes inside. But at least it's meat, it's not a carrot. No, because we are wild beasts in a business, you know. We're going to be caged anyway. I mean, you don't cage donkey. Donkey's easy as a carrot. But like I say, you can be any pet, any animals. You're going to be still fucked up because you're not part of the system. Yeah. Except if you're like really respected and you have an agent who's going to say, okay, he's not coming less than $10,000. Yeah. You buy a canvas or he's not coming. Like Ramelzi was like, you know, I'm coming to do back jump, but you have to pay me. Yeah. You pay the plane, but you have to pay me. You have to give me this amount of money. I remember Adrian was surprised. He was like, okay. Because Ramelzi was like, you know, I don't give a fuck to go into Germany, you know, and wrapping or making a piece of canvas or something like that. I want money, you know. I don't want to expect somebody to buy my canvas or something like that, but I want the money. Basically, he was applying what the musicians are applying. Yeah. You're going to play, but you need to be paid. Yeah. You're not going to expect, you're going to be paid, but you get also half of what the public is going to pay.
I must say,
sometimes.
I'm very sorry.
No, but look, the irony of it is that if you ask a painter, a worker, to paint the facade of a building, he will ask you $50,000 to put the scaffold, to use the thing, to buy the paint. 50,000. Just to paint it white or beige for 1 month. Imagine when you do the street art shit or graffiti, you get paid half of it. But you're gentrifying the neighborhood because you make a good image. So you see, I always say since the beginning, I say, how come the people who are painting a wall white and they got 5 guys painting, each of them is going to be paid, they take 50,000, and how come you're going to take the same risk alone on the truck painting the same fucking surface for half a price? Or not even half a price, a carrot and a merguez frite and a hotel, because they're going to give you a 3-star hotel, and you're going to be, ooh, look, mom, I'm in the bath. You see, this is, I mean, they don't care because, you know, if you refuse, they're going to call somebody else from Spain, like a little writer from nothing, who maybe's got talent, but it's going to come for like $500, included the hotel. So you see, because there's too much people now, there's too much choice, you know. In Barcelona, this is what they did. You know, they wanted to gentrify this neighborhood by the playa, was like crack, cocaine, and all that shit. And everybody painted those giant houses, like one artist by building. The whole neighborhood changed after 5-6 years. It was becoming trendy, hipsters and this and that. But you know how much they got paid? Nothing. They got hotel for free, food for free. You know, sometimes it's like you come for, I mean, it's like Chinese coming to build a train station in Africa, you know. They get paid shit, they get shipped over, and they sleep on the fucking site. So I don't know. How can you make people realize that this is a job? It's not because but they're playing with your emotion because basically they think like you want to do the wall to be up. So you get tricked. Basically the donkey and the carrot. So you get tricked, you do the wall, you get paid little monkey money because they know now. They know since the 80s, the 90s on the streetwear, street art, they know that the big superstars, like those who are like very famous, they're not going to do it, except if you bring money up front. Yeah. But the little one who wants to get up, wants to be famous, they're going to do for a carrot. So if you come and you ask too much money, they sweep you out and they ask for somebody else. So it's like a disrespectful thing because basically they want the wall to be painted, whoever you are.
Yeah.
You're not a superstar, so shut up. You want the carrot, kebab, okay. If not, I'm giving the carrot.
But it depends. If they ask you for, okay, make this wall about that, this is the image we made, just paint it, then this is a job. And they say like, we want to ski now to do your ski thing over there, they're going to pay you immediately more. Because you're telling a story. I think this is a difference, you know? Yeah,
of course there is this. But most of the time it's not like that. I got the experience from Ash, and it's exactly that, you know. He told me, it's like, if you refuse, they will take somebody else. So if you refuse, basically, you're not going to have pictures of a wall, and you're not going to put a new pictures in your
catalog, yes,
yeah,
to
you know,
say I did this.
So it's like a catch-22, you know. You get fucked with the carrot, or you're not doing it, and you stay home and you watch TV, you know. Because there's too much choice today. You know, you got choice between toys, guys who are very good but they're nobody. You know, guys who are super good but they're too expensive, so they're doing from like when you get money from the city at that moment, you get paid a lot, you know. But coming back to the workers who are painting the wall white, they're still taking $50,000 bucks.
Yeah, of course, because it's no fun.
Voilà, right. You know. So that's the irony of it, you know. That's why I always refused to paint things, because I was like, I don't care, they can take somebody else. They're not going to have the same result. But I think if you can read the guy who's asking you for the job, like a gallerist or whatever, you can read him psychologically. You can sense, you know, what he wants. If he wants really a wall because he just need a color on the wall, fuck you. You know, if he wants my work, my vision of things, which is, he takes a risk, because I'm not the, you know, Disney World, you know, I'm not doing things like, you know, I can do funny things, but usually you need to create an impact, you know. But look, most of the people are never painting porno images, people fucking on the wall. There's no sex in graffiti and street art. Did you notice this?
That's kind of...
It should be free of expressing yourself, but nobody, even when they make vandalism, they don't do any sex on the train. They don't do I mean, maybe they did, but there's no sexual images. There's this restriction of doing sexual images. Meanwhile, you are free to draw a fucking vagina or dick. Like,
now, there was some things like that, but I think right now you get a big shitstorm when you do these thing kind of things.
Because it's a public space, so it's no freedom. You know, so it's. And I never saw train in New York with dicks and porno images and stuff like that. I guess it's the wrong subject. I don't know. I was trying to guess about these things. Like, even in galleries, you know, I mean, contemporary art, yes, they do this. Photographers and stuff like that. They do obscene images, you know, like playing with religion, fucking around with this and that, lesbian, LGBT and stuff. But in the graffiti and street art, it's very like, it's like prima comunione, you know, everybody is like, oh no,
but maybe it have to do with the hip-hop scene. It's coming from hip-hop too, kind of, you know, because hip-hop was always kind of cool.
Look at Two Life Crew, remember the fat asses on the shit, you know?
Of course.
Why not in graffiti? Why not in...
But this is something, you know...
I mean, look at Courbet, L'Origine du Monde. You know this painting?
Yes,
with the pussy, with the hair?
Yeah, of course.
This is even better than Mona Lisa. And the title is incredible. The origin of the world, which is the vagina, the mother, the belly, you know. I always like, why not on the wall? Why not in this? I don't know. Why not? Why not? Is it something to, I don't know. Like you say, okay, when this is like like a job, you cannot do it because they're gonna say there's kids here, there's neighborhoods.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
But when you do freely, when you don't ask the authorization and you fucking around with your little trop and tags, I will find more easily to draw a giant fucking vagina or a dick, like realistically. It's 10 times stronger than you fucking little trop and you little tag and you little fat cap fucking extinguisher shit, you know. Why? I don't know. I was like, I don't know. Maybe this is what I should do. I should start a new career, you know, doing obscene images in public spaces. I will not paint it myself. Shit, I will ask somebody to do it.
Go and do it. Yeah, make a brand. But there was this guy painting red dicks over everything.
No, but it's a couple of guys who were doing this, but it was very cartoonish. It was not very obscene. You know, they used to make those pussies.
But there was provocant stuff, you know, where they put a dick on a Lamborghini and stuff like that.
Yeah, but sexuality is like a taboo in this culture. I remember I saw this show by Motu. We did this couples fucking around in the gallery. It was beautiful. It was some of his best pieces, you know. But people were like very shy, or I don't know. They were very. I don't know how many pieces he sold, but I always think it was beautiful. You know, it was like love. You know. Same when he was doing those pregnant women stuff.
Yeah, of course, man. Hey, he's the guy for them kind of things there.
Yeah, he was pushing the thing further, you know. But I don't know. I think today, if you want to stand out of all the culture, you need to go to somewhere where, it's provocative, you know. You can just, I mean, the extinguisher things. This is, I don't give a fuck. You write your name in 5 meters letters with the spray pen, or by the highway or on the subway. Doesn't make me shit, man. You know, because the contemporary art today is much more provocative than graffiti and street art. If you see what's happening on videos and happening in the gallery. I mean, there was this Paul McCartney who did this butt plug on Place Vendôme. It was a big scandal. Remember this green shit for putting in your ass?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
You see, this is not street art. It's they need permission to do this. They had the permission. The guy kind of cheated around because he didn't say it was a butt plug. He was saying it's a Christmas tree. The whole story was funny behind, you know. Yeah, he's making. Till today, last week I went to a show and he's painting on the floor with his dick out, and he's like fucking 70 years old pervert or something, with young chicks around dressed as a Santa Miss. I mean, like I say, I don't see this in the street culture, you know. I saw it in the music, like I said, Two Life Crew. I mean, they were cursing. The lyrics were always sexualized, shocking stuff. Always okay. Little Kim, you remember, Notorious B.I.G. all this stuff. But in street art and stuff like that, I don't see nothing. I see this like, you know, like I said, prima comunione. You know, like everybody is. No, it's. You know, there's irony and paradoxes inside this culture, and I like to watch this thing. You know, I'm very curious about that. You know, and I don't know. Maybe maybe there's someone doing this. I don't know, but I never saw it. Like realistically, I saw some dicks, but it was cartoonish dicks, like you said, Vaughan Baudet and stuff like that. But this is a cartoon. You know, it can be. It's a different.
It looks nicey and.
Yeah, it's a different perception of the sexuality. You know, it's funny. It's like. There
was any time where you say like, okay, I'm gonna paint on canvas now.
Yeah.
How did that come together?
Well, we were asked by this designer called Agnes B, and it was like '89. We met her, and she wanted to do an exhibition with graffiti. You know, Futura was part of it, Bando was part of it. And so suddenly we jumped from the street to the canvas, which is like super small, you know. It's very difficult to find an image that fits a canvas, knowing that you're making walls that most of them like 5 meters, you know, or more than 5 meters or when you tag your name on the wall, it's like
course,
150, 2 meters, you know, even not using a fat cap, you know. So it's like this giant shit, and suddenly you find yourself working with markers or acrylics or brush, you know, which is, for me, a brush was completely retarded. When was the brush was invented? Back in the fucking Middle Age or something, course, you know. Voila. So you see, even the canvas was created with a frame, with wooden frame, and the canvas was created like fucking 5-6 centuries ago. I don't know when exactly. I was thinking like, okay, we got this super modern medium, which is spray paint, very quick, covering super fast, cheap, easy to use, you know, and all of a sudden you find yourself on a surface that is 150 by 150 or even smaller. What do you do? And I decided to express myself without the culture, directly with what I knew before. So I never, ever painted pieces, except on paper, but on canvas I never painted pieces, like real pieces that look like on the street.
A friend of mine have a canvas from you from really 90s.
A black one?
No, it's a very, it's like with some, it's like more designs, kind of, you know, with skin cap kind of things.
Voila.
You know.
So you see, this is what I decided to do. It's to go on canvas and to try to be more personal, because to me, the canvas and the walls, the outdoor painting, were exactly like a book cover and the pages. The book cover, what was the work outside, it was the exterior work, and the pages were the canvases, which is you write, you do things that are personal, you tell a story, a biography, or a fiction, you know. So this was two different elements: the cover of the book and the pages. So this was my concept right away. I was like, okay, now I'm taking care of the pages of the book. You see, the cover stays outside, because the cover is it's outside, you know, image. It's a marketing image. It's whatever you want. It's like it's attracting attention. You know, attention. And so I started to, but like I say, it was completely received differently, because they were expecting me to paint what I paint outside, like b-boys and characters and stuff, which I did in a certain extent, but differently. I took what I was doing previously before graffiti to the canvas and mix it up with the experience and the tools that I was using on the street, which is spray paint, acrylic, you know. Acrylic we always used. I did pieces just with acrylic. The outline with the brush. I did a lot of pieces like this, you know. This was like 89 or 89. So I decided to work on my personal feelings and personal vocabulary, not using the street thing. And of course, it was not a good idea, because people who wanted to buy my work wanted what they were looking outside, what outdoor work, you know. And here I got something more personal. But it was good, because I kind of got a new audience who was coming from the art, was reading this in a different vocabulary. They were reading this as art, simply art. Not graffiti, not street art. No, street art was not even created yet. The name was not circulating yet. And so I was happy. I was like, it's funny, because instead of 90% of the people who's gonna buy my shit, you're gonna have some sort of a niche of people, like 2% who's gonna appreciate my personal work. Means they're gonna appreciate me personally, my psychology, the way I see things. They're going to be interested more about me, less about the performance that I'm doing outside. You know. So this was like a funny moment, because I didn't make any money at the beginning, and I was like, okay, I had a solo show in Berlin in KaDeWe or whatever, I forgot. And my first solo shows, there's only 5 or 6 canvas was sold. To 20 was nothing. And it was like a low price. But the people who bought the canvas, the galleries, I mean, not the galleries, because it was like an advertising studio. And they told me like, those who bought your canvas are like art collector, real art collector. And I was happy.
Yeah.
This is what motivated me, gave me more power to continue and to say, okay, I'm going to talk with 2 people instead of 90% of them, you know? I'm going to be myself. I'm going to talk about every subject that is crossing my life. Techno music, rave scene, sexuality, politics, bad news, anything together. So it was more like a notebook on the canvas. You know, each canvas was like a notebook, and you can see it at the exhibition. There was black canvases and stuff. Yeah, so it was a strange start, because we never thought that we're going to start in art with canvases and galleries. We were more like, okay, we can make a book about the pieces that we made, or comic book or something like that. We were looking at a different direction. So we were surprised, because in fact, people who were buying a canvas were real collectors, means real knowledge, real criticism, more depth, you know, more interesting about yourself, about your mythology, more than the image himself, you know. So it was good. I was happy, because I was like, yeah, it's cool, because people are asking me questions. Finally, they ask me about myself. They're not asking me about what did you write, why did you use this color, why this is this, why this is that, why did you write this letter, why did you don't put arrows, you know. It was about me. It was, why did you do this? What is your experience according to what I see on the canvas? So you see, everything changed at that moment. I was like, not happy, but I was surprised that somebody like me, like nobody actually, I was nobody, and I was like a young 25 or 24 years old, somebody that is a certain age, like 50, 60 years old, comes to me and try to analyze why I did that. And at the moment they understood my way of seeing things, you know, they bought the canvas. And I was like, can you imagine? My shit is in their houses. They have a giant house with like Andy Warhol, Basquiat, other painters, like contemporary art, and my shit is there between them. You know, and some of them, they invited me to their houses, and I was like, wow, I was so shy. I was like, oh, I'm like the real shit, you know.
I made it, man.
No, I didn't. I was not thinking I made it, because the game was not into, it was to be accepted socially. Because we had a lot of stress coming from our social background, and to be accepted by someone who is knowledgeable, who have culture, who goes to theater, who goes to see movies, who's producing music or whatever, to be accepted socially by those people, it was like a stamp, you know, on your fucking head. It was like, okay, I'm worth something, which is, my parents say, you're worth nothing, you screwed up in school, you're gonna be just fucking working in a factory, you know, making, I don't know, making bottles, or you're gonna be working in a trash truck behind, you're gonna sweep this, you know, everybody's putting you down in your own family, you know. Actually, the obvious thing is that people are pouring you down on your own family. Because they don't believe in yourself, they don't trust you. If you don't do something that is producing money right away, they don't trust you. They say you're gonna be shit. You know, you're not gonna have kids, you're not gonna have a wife, you don't have enough anything. And I realized later that, you know, a wife, I mean, if, like I said, there's a French poet, who was saying, if you don't have the money, you marry the money.
Wow.
So, art helped me to kind of find my relationship. Everything changed, you know. You suddenly hang out with girls who are talking about something with a substance. They're talking about literature. They're talking about things that finally, it's like the real thing. It's not like, Oh yeah, I did this piece on the train. Yeah, fucked up the shit. The dog were running after me. It's like, you know, this action Joe, you know, kind of figure that I didn't want it to be, because I was like, you know, I'm going to grow old. I'm not going to run. Police are not going to run after me. I'm not going to be sitting in a police station for 24 hours or 48 hours, which I did. But you know, I was like, damn, man. It's like, okay, this social environment is different, and this is where I'm going to be fishing for my next wife. Because, you know, the two words are colliding together. They like the bad boys. They are wealthy. They don't care about their money. I mean, it's not a trick that I'm talking about. I didn't do this in purpose, but this is what's happening in the art world. Everybody has some sort of equal level. You are creative, you have no money, and then you have super money and you're not creative at all. You cannot even draw a fucking dick. You understand? So this is like a mix. And this is how you breed new dogs, you know. You want a good dog, you breed one ugly dog with a good dog, and you produce puppies who are good dogs. So this was the case of Jay. This was the case of the three of us. We wanted to just make a step in a social new environment, not the one that our parents were promising, which is the one of the guy who's going to work all his life, go on retirement, drink beer and die.
But did your parents then appreciate when you was like doing well, I would say?
No, I never show anything. I was working completely secretly.
Really?
Because I couldn't hear them criticizing something that they don't know. You know, parents who are not educated, they went through the war, they never went to school, they're hardly reading. You cannot show this shit and say, okay, I'm going to make money with this little image, you know, like an abstract shit or something. Like, you know, the cliche of the popular class, they say, oh, you just splash the shit like Dali. They were Dali or Picasso, you know. So, you know, it's like, you don't go to them and say, oh, look, I make money with this, I make money on that, you know. I was completely secret. I was working like a secret agent in my own family. In my 30 meters square, you know, I was like a secret agent. The only thing when I was getting cash, I was just showing them cash. And they were like, oh, you sell drugs.
Oh. But at the end, man, you had a family, right? You had a kid, you had a wife, everything. So they must be proud about that. I mean, every mother is proud about that. Saying, hey, my damn son who never made nothing right. No,
because I got together with women who were wealthy, I mean, stable. They didn't need my money. They needed my personality. They needed my presence. They needed, you know, it's like I say, you marry, you need to marry somebody that is higher than you if you want to move into life, you know. And everyone did this. You know, a lot of communities, like the Jewish, for example, they choose a wife or a husband that is richer than they are themselves. Or maybe they do a business that you need to have. For example, if you build car, you need to marry somebody who's making the tires, you know. So you're gonna have the deal with the tires. You can make your car independent. With your own family, you're gonna build the whole car. You understand? So I was always into this concept because I said, I cannot marry somebody like me. I'm going to be miserable. I'm going to make 5 kids. The wife's going to become obese and she's going to watch TV and eat chips, you know. And I'm going to be drinking beer like Simpson, you know. I'm going to be like Homer, you know. And I never wanted this. I was like, I want to make an upgrade in my life, you know. But I was kind of looking to like hang out and to create new network, because art, to be an artist, is all about network. As a musician, it's the same thing. You have a network, you're going to go play in Brazil, you're going to go play in New York, you're going to have a network, you're going to go outside the box. If you have network, if you have like people who are calling you or stuff like that, you need to have a manager. If you have a good manager, everything is well, because he's going to do the work for you. We didn't have a gallery, we didn't have a manager. We work with some crooks, you know, who were like probably laundering money or stuff like that. We did a lot of weird business, you know, and I never knew where this money was going or coming from, you know, but we did it. It was like, okay, we're going, we're young, we need money. You know, you come back with like 5,000 lire and you got the big thing like this and you think you're rich. You go to the change and you got 100 francs.
Okay.
I remember we got lire, you know. The guy was smart because he says, I know when they're gonna see the fucking
Pile of money, they're like, yo.
like a Baba Rom, you know, like, oh yeah, they're gonna get the money, but they don't know how much it's worth.
Dumb fuckers.
I know. But this is it. Like I said, we were donkey. You know, I'm not afraid of saying it. You know, I was dropping this comparison, but we were donkey. Until today, we donkey. Look, we're at Carhatt.
We're still here.
We're gonna have free clothing for $200. You're gonna go home with comme la camiseta, les pantalons, senza le scarpe.
Without shoes. That's right.
This is it.
But hey, for me, it's like, I mean, this thing, for me, it's so beautiful, man. Like you say, man, it's life, you know? I mean, you said a lot of true things right now. Do you have something you want to give to the younger generation or something you want to say?
Man, I don't know. I don't know this generation. They're completely different from us, you know. We grew up without cell phone, without social media, with nothing. We have a different opinion about life. We started to do things without anything was analog. Today they talk about AI and this and that, and they are completely different. We cannot, I mean, the only thing we can tell them is to take care of themselves, to be healthy, to not get drugged, to not abuse of things, to discover, to travel, but we cannot tell them how to do it because we're already past. We are like fucking dinosaurs, you know. We have no credibility. We are father and, you know, we are parents, you know. We can talk to our kids, but even
you're talking to your kids right now.
Exactly.
Be healthy, don't take drugs.
Even them, they don't give a fuck, you know. But it's good to tell them that in the back of their mind, the thing remains. But it's also because they're going to feel like you care for them, even though if they do the opposite. But they will reach an age where they will come back to what you said 30 years before. This is what I did with my parents.
Yeah, true.
You know, so it's like a boomerang. They need to explore, they need to do the things, they need to do whatever they feel like doing. But at the end, what is true is to be healthy. You know, it's like if you're healthy, if you're clever, if you read, if you're curious, if you go places, you ask questions. I always say to my son, you need to ask questions. You know, you need to ask questions, and you need to be friendly and create a network. You need to know the dangerous guy. If you have trouble, they will save you. You need to know the smart guy. If you have problems, they will resolve them. And you need to need the rich people, because if you want to invest, they will give you the money. It's a very Jewish, sounds like very Jewish. But this is it.
True words, man.
Voilà.
Thank you for this talk, man.
Let's go eat.
Das waren 030 Originals aus Weil am Rhein für Backjumps Reality Check Live Issue 2026. Danke an alle, die das ermöglicht haben, alle Sponsoren, Adrian Nabi, das ganze Team, die Organisatoren, alle, die geholfen haben, alle Künstler. Ich bleib dabei, Graffiti ist krass.
Hat dir gefallen, ja? Schön, dann schalt wieder ein.